Welcome back to the show. And that was a really interesting nasheed by Zain Bika, Sabr and Shukr. And I think that's where everything starts with is the word gratitude. It teaches us to be able to look back on our lives and be grateful for the small little things that make those big differences in our life. And that's what it's about. So we're talking about making differences. And today we're going to be speaking to Brother Zeinoul Abedien Cajee, Awqaf's Essays CEO. And he's going to be talking to us about the upcoming Arabic Language Roundtable at the Al Ghazali College that is going to be taking place this weekend, the 28th of May. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A very warm welcome to you, Brother Kaji.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Nafeesa. Glad to be with you again on this very auspicious and sunny Johannesburg.
It's an absolute pleasure having you on my show. It always is, with all the interesting topics that you bring to the fore and the types of changes that Awqaf essay actually contributes to uplifting society. So I really appreciate you taking the time to join me on the show today. Let's talk about what we can expect from this upcoming Arabic Language Roundtable that's going to be taking place at the Al Ghazali College. But before we do that, just briefly talk about Awqaf SA. I think I want people to know the essence that you have and the types of shifts that you create in communities that makes those differences.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I think the whole issue about Awqaf comes from the concept of Waqf, which is a prophetic institution created by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Over the years and over the centuries, people have used this Waqf concept to do a whole variety of projects, programs, infrastructure, water, libraries, hospitals, whatever. And the basic understanding of Waqf is that people donate out of the goodness of their heart on a voluntary basis to some institution or a trust that they create, which then is used for some Sharia compliant purpose. The essence of it is that the Waqf, whatever you donate, is never spent. That is part of the sacredness of this particular concept, that the donation or whether it's in cash or kind that you make as a Waqf, it never gets consumed, it never gets spent. It has always to produce some benefit for humanity. So, and it could be for a family as well.
Right.
So that's basically the essence of it. And in the case of the broader concept is that when people make Waqfs, they can make Waqfs for anything that they have a passion for. So if you have a passion for media, you could make a Waqf for media. If you have a passion for the environment and planting trees, you can do that. If you have a passion for taking care of animals, then you can make a Waqf to take care of animals. So the Waqf will be in perpetuity, and the caretaking of the various what we call downstream, like animal care or planting trees, may take place over time as well. So people make Waqfs for mosques, people make Waqfs for libraries, for books, for Qurans, for printing literature. The list just goes on and on and on. It all depends on what people want to do. In Awqaf South Africa, we have basically a discretionary Waqf, which the trustees decide what they should be spending on, and otherwise a donor can also specify that the donor wants it for example, education or for water or for trees, whatever. But that's basically in a nutshell. We could actually spend a lot more time on that actually.
Yes, definitely. But I think what we need to pen on now is, of course, the Arabic Language Roundtable, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. And I'll tell you why. I think you're bridging this gap. I've been thinking about this for a while to say, I hope somebody could come up with this concept because if you look at it, I mean, in a lot of instances, and I think coming from our generations, we never had the opportunities to be able to learn the Arabic language in the proper manner, besides, of course, reading the Quran. But we need to ask ourselves the question, how much of it do we understand firstly, and secondly, I just got back from Dubai for work, and I told myself, had I learned Arabic when I was in school, it would have been such a phenomenal experience, because you can then, just take this language and move it forward in so many directions. So I think this is something that was really needed, and you've really looked at it to actually fill the gap. So give us some more information, literally, about that.
Okay, so we know that in the world today there are probably about 400 or 500 million people that speak Arabic, and that may span the Arab countries and some in West Africa and other places. But that's the number that I have. But
Right.
then Muslims total about 1.5 billion or 1.8 billion. So what
Sure.
happens to the rest of the ummah that they don't really understand? And we fall perhaps in that category as well, where we perfectly read the Quran beautifully, and we know the tajweed, we know all the rules and regulations about reading the Quran, but unfortunately, many of us don't actually understand. So that's one of the fundamental reasons for having this Arabic roundtable, that we can actually discuss what is happening with Arabic in South Africa. Why is it that in some places it is being taught, some places it's not being taught? At schools, some schools have it, some schools don't have it. I remember in 1976, 77, we actually went door to door in Lenasia, trying to establish the first Arabic program at Lenasia High School, which we succeeded doing, and it actually became a matric exam subject. But
Wow.
how many students are actually, doing it at the departmental or government education level? How many people are doing it in madrasas? I know that, for example, even in madrasas, many madrasas don't actually even teach Arabic. So we have a problem there, because now we have a sacred book which we read but we don't understand. So and alhamdulillah, I mean, we have hundreds and thousands of hufaz, and every single Muslim is a hafiz of some sort, of some surahs and so forth. But when we stand up for our salah, we don't really understand. So the idea of the Arabic roundtable is really to see how can we advance the teaching and learning of Arabic as a Muslim language, as an Arabic, as a language of Jannah, and the language of the Quran, and the language of Allah, actually, that we can popularize and have some kind of a campaign or some kind of program that we can actually study, and we can become fluent in Arabic. Maybe it will take time. I think it will take a lot of time, but if we don't plant the seeds now, we're not going to be able to do it. And if we don't create that awareness now, and we don't have special programs that will enhance the learning of Arabic, then also we got a problem. So we want to read and understand the Quran. We want to be able to communicate as well, converse maybe in some way as well. But let's look at what is the status of Arabic in South Africa. Universities,
That was, I think you've read me. That was going to be my next question, because I mean, if we look at it, we need to ask ourselves: has this been inculcated in many curriculums at madrasas or even just Islamic schools?
Well, that is a key question that we're going to be looking at. There will be somebody who will talk about the situation in Muslim schools. Is it being taught? Is it not being taught? Why is it not being taught? What's the problems? What are the challenges? And then we also look at what's happening at madrasa. So somebody will have a speaker talking about, just an overview of what's happening in the madrasa. And then, we will talk about what's happening at the Darul Ulooms, what's happening at universities, for example, as well. So Arabic is being taught at different levels in different places. and we need to see, what would be the best outreach for teaching Arabic? Is it these private classes? Should every mosque start having Arabic classes, for the community? Because we've got like maybe 1,000 or 1,500 mosques around the country. Can each mosque become a center of learning Arabic? So we need teachers, and we need qualified teachers for males and for females, and that's another challenge. So, do we have the proper curricula? Do we have the books available that we can use to be able to promote the language? So there are lots of issues that need to be discussed and be threshed out as well. But this is just the beginning to get an overview of what's happening with Arabic and how we can actually advance the teaching and learning of Arabic in South Africa, inshallah.
I really love your concept, because what it does is, and the fact that you brought up the mosques and that, a lot of people look at, because everybody's in such as, we live in a rat race in South Africa. So it's nice to see that you've thought of the conveniences of maybe the mosques or the madrasas nearby to be able to afford the opportunities to, should we say, almost everyone that would love to get involved with learning Arabic. And I don't think anybody's going to look at it in another direction. I think everybody, including myself, is saying this is something absolutely phenomenal. You're bridging the gap in many directions, because this has been something that I think needed to be penned out a long time ago. As I said, when we were in madrasa, it was not available to us. And this is so phenomenal because, firstly, you understand the language, but then when you read the Quran, you also understand exactly what it is that you're reading. I mean, it's one thing to pick up the English translation. There's nothing wrong with that. But why not learn the language that we think is imperative for us, in the sense that we can understand it better, converse with it, and use it in so many directions? And as you said, so many people throughout the world. And I think there's always this misunderstanding where we think Arabic is only, spoken in places like maybe the UAE or Saudi Arabia. Yet we don't realize there's so many other countries, as you were saying, where people converse in Arabic.
Yeah, and when one travels abroad, one always encounters people, maybe with foreign languages, but the one common language that binds us all together is Arabic. So, and we talk about unity, we talk about social cohesion amongst Muslims, and this is really the language that keeps us all together. Yes, we do have challenges in South Africa.
But I love the idea, because it's like you say, it's creating that unison, that unity, we coming together to be able to firstly learn the language that's important, but also bringing people together. And I think that's also the essence and the ideology behind it, besides teaching the language itself.
Yes, absolutely. So, like I was saying, that we do have other challenges in South Africa with languages. And I think that we also need to learn indigenous languages. But our sacred language is Arabic. And that is something that we have contact with almost on a daily basis. We have contact with Arabic, through our readings, our salah, our, Juma khutbahs, everything. So there's, the thing is, literature available in Arabic, and at the moment, that's probably a long-term kind of objective, that people will be able to read original kitabs rather than reading translations. And like you pointed out, that we do have translations of the Quran, and like in some of our libraries, personal home libraries, we have several translations, and you could always refer to one and the other and the other and the other, and you'll always find commonalities and differences. But then, if you understand the structure of the Arabic language, it really makes a big difference in terms of your understanding as well. Because I think the language itself, I myself, I've been trying to learn Arabic over many years, and but it's been erratic. and like somebody said yesterday, you need maintenance. You need to maintain that the momentum of learning and speaking to people as well. So we need to have, perhaps we need to have Arabic language camps as well, where we only speak Arabic at that camp. You know, so
Mm-hmm.
to sort of enliven the Arabic language, or to make it a living language, we need to do those, because if we don't do that, then we'll be carrying on, like you mentioned, in our generation, we'll be carrying on,
Mm-hmm.
and future generations will be the same. So do we want
True.
the same thing to happen to them, or should we
Mm.
start now, so that our future generations, at least we will leave behind a legacy of learning Arabic?
That's so true. Brother Zainul, unpack this roundtable for us. Is it for everybody? Who do you think should attend the roundtable that's happening at Al Ghazali College this weekend?
Look, I think primarily people who are interested in the Arabic language, people who are interested in teaching the Arabic language, people who have a passion for the Arabic language, people who think they can add value in terms of the promotion of the Arabic language, in maybe at some institutions, or they could even be forming part of this campaign or this movement
Mm-hmm.
to promote the Arabic language. So those are the people that I think that have an interest in the language, and that have interest in promoting it as a lingua franca,
Mm-hmm.
to become the lingua franca of the Muslim Ummah, not only in South Africa but even abroad. Even we have lots of people in South Africa that are Muslim, but are maybe coming from other countries, that we need to embrace, and we need to incorporate. I know that, for example, the Somali community in South Africa,
Mm-hmm.
they are very pedantic about learning Arabic, because it's also their mother tongue. Their mother tongue may be Somali, but they teach their children, in the madrasas, Arabic from day one. So,
Yes.
so people who feel, that there is a need for this, because I think that if there are people that have an interest in the subject, and interest in promoting it, I think those are the people that would be very welcome. Anybody else is welcome. I mean, we don't really have any restrictions on anybody who wish to enter, who
Mm.
wish to attend, and if they want to, if they can't attend in person, they could actually attend online as well. So
Right.
it's a hybrid event as well. So you can listen to
Yes.
the talks by different people.
Okay.
Uh,
So Brother Zainul, just quickly, we know this is happening in Pretoria, and as you say, will there be some form of streaming or something else that people can get onto if they don't have access to drive as far as that, or would you be able to pen out something post the roundtable for them to get interested in?
I think there will be something that we will have outcomes and resolutions that will come out of this roundtable, and then it will be there will be a Zoom link available for people
Oh,
who
lovely.
can't attend physically but would like to listen into the conversation, or inputs, and whatever people. There will be lots of people who will want to say a few words about where they are in their experience,
Hmm.
and some recommendations that may come out of this roundtable. So,
Lovely.
and we're hoping that that there will be some kind of a committee that will be established that will drive this process beyond this roundtable as well. So people
Inshallah. Yeah,
who
we're hoping that that is what is the outcome. I mean, obviously, it's about putting some processes into place to be able to take this forward. And I think that's what's the importance of this is having it, and then from there moving it forward through your different committees, and saying, let's firstly go out there, get our records of progress and implementation of resolutions in place, sitting with that, coming up with those types of ideas and penning them out going forward. Unfortunately, we seem to have run out of time. What would you like to leave our viewers with this morning with that advice?
Well, I would like to say that, that we do have the support of the United Ulama Council of South Africa, which has many affiliates throughout the country, the Jamiyats and so forth. And there's an outreach from their side as well, and there's support from them as well. So, and this is a joint initiative between Awqaf South Africa and the United Ulama Council of South Africa. And we'd love people to embrace this concept of learning Arabic, and inshallah that they contribute towards encouraging their children and whoever else in their families to actually find out more about learning Arabic. There are lots of platforms available today, but let's make use of it, and let's hope and make dua for the success of this roundtable and what comes out of it, inshallah.
Jazakallah so much for your time. I think this is something really valuable, and we are going to keep in tap to what is going on and how things are going to pan out at some time. So I'm sure we will get in touch with you post this particular roundtable. So all the best going forward for the weekend, and inshallah, we're hoping that this turns into a real success and that everything moves forward as far as this is concerned. Jazakallah so much for your time, Brother Zeinoul Abedien Cajee from Awqaf SA. Take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And that was Brother Zeinoul Cajee.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes to